Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tisha and thank you so much for tuning in to today's video. So this week I actually want to talk about opportunities and the importance of taking advantage of our opportunities and the resources that could be right in front of us. So I'm gonna start off with in undergrad. That's when I really learned about how to take advantage of all the opportunities that is presented to you and really utilizing the resources that is in your own community. When I transferred from community college to a four-year university, I went to a HBCU, and I remember going there just wanting to have tunnel vision. I did not want to be distracted. I just wanted to go in, make my good grades, get my degree, well, hopefully make good grades, which I ended up doing. But my whole goal was to go there, get my degree, and walk on out across that stage and keep it moving. That was my plan. I didn't want to get distracted. I wasn't trying to make any friends or just have a social life. I just wanted to go in and out, literally be boring. So I literally just wanted to go to school, get my degree, and move on. I'm really happy that I didn't do that I did so much more within that accomplishment. So yes, I did get my bachelor's degree in psychology. Yes, I did have a really high GPA. I graduated with a 3.8, but I didn't just walk away with a paper and a high GPA. I had experienced so much in between that journey. Sometimes when we have tunnel vision, we could just focus so much on the end goal that we don't really get to enjoy the process and the journey of getting there. Sometimes those little pages of your chapter to get to the end of the story, sometimes it's the middle that makes everything all worth it. So for me, I was really taking my tunnel vision seriously. I was when I move on campus, I'm gonna just have my clothes to go to school. I'm not gonna have any nightlife clothes, no social clothes, nothing. And I remember going into campus and someone knocked on, well, my roommate's friend knocked on the door and was like, hey, do you want to hang out with us? We're going here. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I can't. I didn't bring any clothes. And she was like, it's cool, you can hang out with us next week or the next time we go. And in my mind, I'm so trifling. In my mind, I was thinking yeah, sure. Glad that one it didn't happen. I really don't know who I was trying to be. I really don't know, because I'm a person, I love hanging out. I'm really outgoing. I love having a good time. So the fact that I really thought that I was gonna move into campus and just strictly focus on getting my degree and nothing else was crazy. But I tried, but I'm glad I didn't really try all the way and kept on trying, because I'm really grateful that I made friends, that I was able to not walk away with my degree, but I made some friends along the way, and I'm really blessed about that. Part of this whole story is I remember I took a course called anthropology, and this whole class was focused on other people's cultures and other people experiences and history. And then I was also taking another class called cultural psychology, and that also focused on culture and everything. So of course I enjoy those electives because, one, I love learning about other people, and they were talking about just other people's cultures, their beliefs, their religions, why they do the things they do, and all that stuff. And I just thought that was really interesting. But the one thing that stood out was not anything that was actually taught in the book. It was the actual professor. So for my anthropology, there was a professor, and he told us in the beginning of the class that we need to take advantage of all the opportunities that the school has. He said we need to look into whatever resource they have and utilize it and just take advantage of it. And he was like, do more than just go to the library and use the books and use the computers. Like, do more than that. Now, he didn't give us the instructions on all the opportunities that the school has to offer. That was up for us to explore and find. And when he said that, I don't know what it was about that day. He was just very emotional and sincere when he was talking to us. And I really took that information with me. So it really just allowed me to have a different experience when I was in undergrad. I remember one day I was in the library, I was doing my schoolwork, and there was just so much going on. It was midterms, it was about to be spring break. I was taking a course that was kind of difficult at the time, and I just felt like I really need to focus on passing my midterm exams. So I was in the library, and there was just this poster that stood out, and it was like, do you want to travel for free? And I was like, travel? Yes. Free? Like, yes. Like, where? How? Like, tell me more. So I took a picture of the flyer, but I was like, man, like, this looks so cool. Like, I would love to travel for free. Like, I didn't even know all the other information behind it, but I was like, man, like, this seems so cool. But I was like, I can't focus on that. I can't, apply to do that, because right now I need to focus on passing my midterm. I need to focus on, passing this midterm to pass the course, because I just want to graduate. Like, that's the end goal. I just want to graduate. So I kept the picture. I thought about it for a while, and then I just reflected on what my professor said about taking advantage of the opportunities. And that's when I thought, like, man, this right here is really a once in a life opportunity. Like, it's saying to travel, then it's saying traveling for free. And I'm like, man, like, this is the opportunity. This is the resource. Like, it's in school. I'm hoping, like, it's not a scam. Like, it looks legit. Like, it's posted in the library. And then later on, I started noticing that it was, like, posted in the psych department. And I'm like, okay, this might be real here. And maybe I should, like, see what's going on with this. But then there was another part of me that kept saying, no, you don't need to focus on that. That is another distraction, and what you need to focus on is passing that midterm. So I was like, okay. I listened to the other part. I said, okay, you're right. I need to focus on passing this midterm. I need to focus on studying. However, I do need to realize that when there's an opportunity that's right in front of you, there's a chance it might not come back. And I should explore this. So that's what I did. I did make a commitment that I was going to put an application in for this opportunity. I just made a commitment that I was going to learn more about what this opportunity is about. But my first priority is to make sure I do what I got to do to pass my exams. And that's exactly what I did. I decided to I talked to my parents about it. I was like, man, like, there's this travel opportunity, which is a study abroad trip. It was a study abroad trip at my school. And I was like, I'm a little nervous because, like, I don't know who will be on the study abroad trip. I don't know any of the other students. It's open to all majors. So, like, I don't know who's going. And I don't know, like, who will be my roommate when we go overseas. Like, even though, I took it as, like, it was almost like a solo trip. So even though, like, you'll be traveling with a group of students, like, you don't know anyone. You feel like it's solo dolo. So I kind of was like, those were the things that made me scared and made me nervous about wanting to, like, actually pursue it. So, anyways, I did more research. I ended up picking up the application and saw how it worked. So basically, it was a study abroad opportunity, at my school, the school received funding to allow students to study abroad for free at the location that was being promoted. So at the time, the study abroad trip was to travel to study abroad in China during the summer session, and you was going to be able to go to Beijing, Shanghai, and Hangzhou. Everything was going to be paid for except for the flight. That was going to be the only thing that the student was going to have to pay for, and everything else was covered by an HBCU scholarship that my university received. So that's where it ties back into what my professor was saying, taking advantage of the opportunities. The opportunity is this is a study abroad trip that is happening, and taking advantage of the resource. The resource is that your school receives a lot of funding, a lot of money to do different things, and it's important to find a way how you could be a part of receiving some of that money. So even though that money is not like going directly to your pocket, that money is being used to enhance like the student experience, and that particular funding was, you know, to a study abroad trip. So no, I didn't receive all the money money from the actual resource, but the resource was that they received money to pay for students to travel for free and only have to pay for a flight. So to me, you telling me I could travel to China, see 3 major cities, Beijing, Shanghai, Hangzhou, take the bullet train, have my food and my stay covered at really nice places, and all I gotta do is pay for a flight, and the flight probably costs like no more than $2,000. That, I mean, what? Like, that's the opportunity that you have to take. Like, let the school fly you out. Let the school fly you out at this point. So even though, and it's crazy, y'all, so even all the things that I said that sounded like a benefit, a win, that sounded like so good, it's so crazy how the mind works. That even though I could clearly see the experience I will gain from doing that trip, for some reason at that moment, all I could really think about is some of my fears or some of my limiting beliefs that distracted me from being nervous about just submitting an application or looking more into it. I was so concerned with like, dang, I might be by myself. I don't know anyone. Like, I'm traveling without my family and my friends for the first time. That was scary. Then I was thinking, like, you know, where I'm going to, like who's going to be my roommate. That stuff kind of freaked me out. I also was focusing on, like, man, this application is due, like it's basically, like, it's close for the application to be due, and it's like I don't really have time to be, like, writing a whole essay of why I want to go on this trip or what this trip will mean for me. Like, I need to focus on my midterms. Like, that's what's important, that's what's real, you know, that's gonna let me get closer to my end goal, not going to China. Things I could think of like why I shouldn't go. And it's crazy how your negative beliefs or your limiting beliefs, even if they are real valid excuses, could be the only thing that you focus on, that you can't even see the gain. That the gain is that, hey, you get to go to these, one, you get to travel for free. 2, you get to go to a country that is so historical that a lot of people don't get to experience. Then it's like you get to meet new people from your school, and you get to meet new people overseas and build long-lasting relationships, and you get to see these historical sites like, you know, the Forbidden City that you read about in your books, and you get to see them in person. Like, you don't really focus on all the win. You just focus so much on all the bad things that could happen, or all the negativity, or just like all your fear, when in reality there's just, those gains is just so much more impactful on your life than you just being nervous to step outside the box or step outside of your comfort zone, you know? And even with all that said, it was getting me to the right direction of wanting to apply, but it wasn't, it's crazy. It still wasn't enough. I started to go on YouTube, and like I remember I found a speech. It was Michelle Obama. She was doing a speech about people, and I don't remember everything she said, but the speech was focusing on a HBCU scholarship and how I think Black people should travel, or people in general should travel, or something with like college students. And I just remember it was just so motivating and empowering to hear Michelle Obama talk about how college students should travel and talk about like HBCU scholarships being rewarded to schools so they could have experience to travel. And I'm like, man, like that is empowering, that is beautiful. So with everything going on, like I decided to I was like, you know what? I'm just going to shoot my shot. Why am I closing the door on me? Like, why am I closing this door on myself? Like, if anything, let me just put the application in and see what happens. And that's exactly what I did. I did try to convince my brother, because me and my brother went to the same school. I did try to convince my brother to put in an application, but he did not. Not because he didn't want to travel. I actually don't really remember why. I feel like it was like kind of short. It was kind of last minute. Like I found out about the opportunity at last minute, so the application was kind of due like within that week. So you know, I tried to convince him, but even then, when I think about it, when I convinced him, it was out of fear. It wasn't, yes, I love my brother and I love like being able to travel and experience those things with him, but I wasn't asking him to travel with me out of like being like genuine. It probably was more fear speaking. It was more of like, yes, I would love for him to come, but it was more of a comfort zone. You move out of fear. Sometimes you don't allow yourself to go because you might be like, well, I only would go if you go, or if this person go, then I go. Luckily, I wasn't on like that extreme level of not doing the opportunity. Like I wanted to take advantage of the opportunity, but I would have felt a little bit more comfortable if my brother was coming with me. But it wasn't going to be like, oh, well, guess I can't go because you're not going, and not join the trip. Because if he did, I would have been just hanging out with him the whole time, and I probably wouldn't have been able to develop the friendships and the connections that I made while being abroad. I submitted the application, I submitted the essay, went on spring break. I think it was either mid-spring break or towards the end of spring break. I found out that I got accepted to study abroad, and I was really excited, and I was really grateful that I took the opportunity to bet on myself. Like, yeah, I took my midterms and I did good. I did well. I prepared myself for that. And I also took advantage. I also took the time to apply to go to China, and I got accepted, and I'm very happy and I'm very grateful that I did that. Yeah, studying abroad in China was such a wonderful experience. Like, I've been to other places before then, like the Caribbeans, but man, going to China was a whole nother experience. It was a culture shock, but I learned so much. And the one thing that I enjoyed, like, can you imagine like reading about certain topics and history in your textbooks, and then you're actually like there? It's like a whole nother experience, and I really recommend for if you're in college to take advantage of the study abroad trips. Some schools have it like departments, meaning like whatever department you in, they might have a study abroad trip within that department, or some might have it where any major can apply. the one I applied for, any major can apply to be a part of this study abroad trip, and it was just amazing. Like, imagine just going somewhere to take lectures, to learn, but also do a lot of sightseeing. Studying abroad had just enhanced the way I travel and the way I look and view the world. Like, you know, I love just going to the beach and chilling and doing some excursions, but like studying abroad has just really make me that when I do travel, that I really take the time to just find a way to explore in the historical perspective of the trip, or to find a way to be around the locals a little bit more. And with going to China, I was able to do that. Shanghai is crazy. Like, it's like the business city. Beijing is really popular. In Hangzhou, we stayed at like the countryside, and it was just a beautiful trip. And I think with you all, like when you're in college, most of the time these schools will get money, and they will pay for your whole entire trip, your food, your stay, and sometimes even your flight. But then there might be some like mine where you might have to pay for your flight. And to be honest, that's not bad if you just got to pay for your flight. So then the second part of this story is that because I had such a wonderful experience when I did that trip, I actually studied abroad a second time during undergrad. So following year, they had another study abroad opportunity with the same professor and or the same instructor that did the last trip. So I felt comfortable about doing it, because I was like, okay, this is the same instructor that did the last trip. We already built some type of rapport, so I feel comfortable about going. And some of the students who went the last year, they also caught the travel bug, and some of them also did the trip again for the second year. And the second trip, which was my last study abroad trip in undergrad, was so lovely. So this trip we went to Ghana. So we went to Ghana, and we was able to explore. This one was a little different. So what was different about the funding for this trip is that everything was paid for except for the flight and certain meals. There were certain meals that we had to pay for. So that was different compared to the China trip. But the food in Ghana was still inexpensive. It was still affordable. So the trip was still a low cost trip. It was still a great opportunity, because everything else is getting covered. And the uniqueness about this trip was that in Ghana, we started off, like, we landed in Accra, and then we went throughout the entire region of Ghana. I'm gonna see if I could post like some pictures while I'm talking. So we started off in like the main city, and then we went all the way like around towards like the mountains. We went through like the Ashanti village. It was just so amazing. And that was really a one in a lifetime experience. We also visit the Cape Coast. So, and I just thought that was interesting, because where I live, there's the African American Museum, where there's like, they talk about the history of Black people and Africans. And they start off, if you go to this museum, and this is in the US, when you first go within this first level of floor, they start you off from the beginning of, I guess, Black history. And when they first start you off, in Africa, and they, talk about what happened within that area. And so they talk about the Omina Castle. They talk about, Cape Coast and all this historical information. And it's just crazy, because they try to create the mood at this museum by making it really, really dark when you go in. And when I went to Cape Coast in Ghana, I was able to actually step foot in the Elmina Castle, and to see some of the dungeons and to see how really dark it got inside, and how black people had to black people was forced to be in these really dark dungeons, and then when they would come out after months, sometimes they would be blind because it's so bright outside from being in the dark for so long. So and it's crazy because they try to replicate that experience at this museum in the United States, and they do a wonderful job at trying to show that experience and that emotion and that mood that our ancestors had to go through. And it's just crazy that the experience that they try to replicate, like I actually visit that historical place in Ghana, and it's a really emotional experience, but I'm really grateful for the opportunity that I had with going to Ghana. And also, before we even got to Ghana, we actually did a 5-day layover in London. So this trip, this study abroad trip, I'm trying to tell you, it was really worth it. Like all you gotta do is pay for your flight and some of your meals, and everything else is covered for. Like, it's a win-win. It's literally a once-in-a-life opportunity. It's not mainly a once-in-a-life opportunity, meaning that you will never get to go to these places, but it's a once-in-a-life opportunity when your college or when your school is paying for literally almost everything, and you're going to these trips literally just paying $1,500 or $2,000 for a flight, and that's it, and everything else is covered, and you're there for weeks. So yes, it's a once in a lifetime. When we went to London, it was such a wonderful experience. I'm saying wonderful a lot, but I just had so much fun. Like in London, we visited the Big Ben, we saw the Buckingham Palace, we went on the Pearl, we went to Princess Diana Garden, we saw the changing of the guards. Like, we saw so much in London that it was just a vibe. Like, y'all, like, I'm a type of person who, like, I let other people lead when we go somewhere. Like, if I'm in a group setting, like, you could put the GPS on, you could lead us to where we going. But when I was in London, I don't know what it was, but I just knew. Like, I had the phone, I had the GPS on, I knew how to use their public system, like the public transportation system. Like, for some reason, I was just vibing with London. Like, I don't know what it was. Like, I just act like I knew where I was going, and I don't know. It's just easier to get around in London. Like, I really, I have to visit again. I hope I do. But all of that, I'm saying all of this because all of that was through the school. Like, it was all because I decided that, hey, yes, I know the big goal is to get my college degree. Like, cool, we get it. Everybody in here who's at school, that's their goal. But when I decided, like, what do I want my experience to look like? Like, what do I want this chapter to look like? Like, do it just want to be, oh, Tisha graduated with her psychology degree? Or it's like my story is filled, like, Tisha graduated with her psychology degree, but she also studied abroad in China, London, and Ghana. She also made friends, she also she also joined different honor societies in school. She volunteered. Like, the story is much more fulfilling to the fact that when I reflect back on my college, when I reflect back on, like, undergrad, like, I don't just automatically think about the degree. I don't. Like, I think about how I made so many friends, how I, was able to go to a new country, and I didn't depend on just needing my family and my friends to be with me, that I jumped out of my comfort zone, that I explored. I have so much more to my story. So I encourage you all, like, to do the same. If you are currently in college, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, whatever you are, look to see if there's a study abroad opportunity at your school. You can start with your department to see if they have any opportunities available. I got my bachelor's degree in psychology, so I didn't see any study abroad opportunities specifically for psychology students. However, I did have a friend who got her degree in social work, and I remember she showed me the packet of social work study abroad opportunities in the itinerary, and I was like, oh my God. Oh my goodness. I was like, what? Like, they had South Africa, Belize, Costa Rica. They had all these different places that people could go to, and I was like, dang, like, like, let me, like, oh, I didn't know that's what y'all was doing over there. And the itinerary looked so amazing. So, you know, please, you guys, please look into it. You know, start with your department. You know, see if there's go on your school website, type in study abroad opportunities in the search engine. See what the application is like, what the process is like. It's really easy. Most of the time they just want you to have a GPA with a 3.0 or more, maybe, I'm not sure, or it could be a 2.8. I'm not really sure. And then they want you to submit like a essay explaining, like, you know, why you want to go on your study abroad trip or whatever. You know, I'm not really sure what the application process will look like for you guys, but for me it was pretty like straightforward. And, you know, really step into, you know, don't just get your degree, really take advantage of all the opportunities and the resources that the school have. And, you know, and that's a great way to travel for free. You know, I don't know, there was some people who that was their first time traveling, so they had to, like, get a passport for the first time, and, you know, that was their first time on a plane, like, or there was some people who always been travelers and they do family vacations all the time, but that was their first time, maybe, like, you know, doing something outside or just going to the Caribbean. It's like, really just see what's out there at your school and just go for it. Don't just get your degree, make an experience, make some friends, build some relationships. When I went to China, it wasn't just with our school. Apparently the HBCU scholarships was also with other universities, so we went with 2 other schools within the US. They was also part of our study abroad trip, and it was just so much fun. Like, I was able to meet people from another state, and then there was another school that was actually within the same state of us, and you were able to just meet people from other colleges and other universities, and it's just such a fun experience, you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed today's conversation. It's all about taking advantage of the opportunities and the resources you have. It does not have to be on an extreme level like traveling. However, if that's something you're into, go ahead and look for it. Also, you could create your own study abroad experiences within your own community. It's okay to explore your local community, visit the next city over, visit another state near you, try a different restaurant, you know, talk to new people in your community. It's okay to develop and build relationships, and it doesn't have to just be at an international level. You literally could be an explorer. You literally can explore your own local community. So I hope this video was encouraging. Get rid of your, well, I'm not gonna say get rid of your limiting beliefs, but learn how to manage and process your limiting beliefs. Sometimes it's okay to like write down what is blocking you. So if you know that there's something blocking you of doing something that you want to do, write those down. And it's crazy because when you like write down which I did not do this when I was an undergrad. This is something that like I recently learned and I try to do now. But when I write down my limiting beliefs, it allows me to look at them, acknowledge them, and be like, okay, well, let me provide a solution or problem solve for each of these beliefs, or let me provide an objection of why these limiting beliefs are like they're not good enough excuses. And once you do that, you be like, man, dang, like if you realize that it's just you getting in the way of what you want to do. It's most of the time it's no one else. It's literally you getting in the way of your next opportunity. If you guys enjoyed today's video, comment down below if you ever studied abroad before, or this is something that you look like you want to do in the future. I would love to hear your thoughts. So subscribe or like this video if you found it interesting or helpful, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.